What's going on, guys? LoganJYA here, and I'm with my boy Sam, who has proven the talent and the power of Drytron here in 2022 in the post-POT world, and he's here to talk to us about something real unique, and that's going second Drytron. You know, something that may be a little foreign to us as the people who like to put up the big boards and not really have to worry about playing through stuff, or, you know, we only have to do that as a backup plan. This was the main strat for my man Sam. So listen, bro, first and foremost, how you doing? And thank you for joining us.
Hey, what's up? I'm doing good. Thank you for having me on here. I'm doing great, so glad to be on here. Used to watch your videos a lot, so it's really cool to be finally on one. So yeah.
Dude, you have done it, you have earned it, and you have proven your strength within like the Drytron community. And what was it again that you were able to accomplish with this particular list we're looking at on the screen?
So I got top 8 at the Minneapolis Regional with this blind second Drytron build. Deck was super clean, super smooth, did exactly what it needed to do.
Absolutely. And then, guys, we're not going to go through this card for card. You guys can look at the screen and see what the list is. Might even have it available in the description or a link to it or something like that, so you can check it out that way. But I want to let you guys know that we're really going to talk with Sam here, go over his matchups, the tournament, card choices, things of that nature, and maybe changes to make in the future. Then we're going to be breaking boards. We have some examples for you against Spright, Tier Element, the like, and we're going to see how he uses Drytron engine cards to break these boards and talk about how the blowouts really help support it. So without further ado, let's get into it and hit you with my first question. Obviously, you did well, ending up in the top 8 of this tournament. What were your matchups looking like this day? You know, taking on the Sprites, the Tier Elements, some of the older stuff like the Brandeds. What was it looking like on the day of the tournament?
Yeah, so I played 1 Flaunderies and 1 Branded Despia, and then 1 Mech Knight. Those were my rogue matchups for the day, and everything else, every single other match was Tier or Spright of some variant. Yeah, so yeah.
And which one was the most tricky out of those, you would say, for this particular build? You know, obviously you're choosing to go second. You want to be ready for all those boards that could be built, but that's also the challenge with the going second deck, is you don't necessarily know what board is going to be built, so you have the wrong blowout for the situation. You know, what was the trickiest matchup?
Trickiest matchup was definitely Flaunderies. So you can see from the list that I'm not main decking Lancia, I'm side decking it, but I was able to win game 1 off of that, and that was just through Mystic Mine stalling for a game. A lot of times it was just, you know, you just need 1 free turn. That's the thing with this deck. If you have 1 free turn, then you can accomplish everything that you need on the next turn. So yeah, it was just stalling 1 turn with Mystic Mine, and it was very tricky. I did play 2 going second decks in the tournament. So I played a going second Branded Danger Spright Tier Element deck. It was really cool, and I played a going second Mech Knight deck, obviously. And so I lost both of the die rolls and had to go first, both of them. So I guess it was, I hadn't tested much going first with this build prior to the tournament, but you know, this tournament like just kind of proved that no matter what, even if they make you go first, it's Drytrons at the end of the day. And that's the real power of this as a blind second deck. People cannot, they absolutely cannot try to like meta call you and make you go first with it, which I really like.
And you've got the backup plan already built into the main deck here, so in case that situation ever did come up, you're ready to rock and roll with the Vanities, Ruler, Bing chilling here, closely followed up with like some strong extra deck choices too. So it's like, at the end of the day, you don't gotta stress it. You're still playing Drytron. You're still playing one of the best buildable decks of all time, without a doubt. Now, mind you, no pun intended here, we do have the Mystic Mine in here. You're talking about how it's buying you a turn. We're not using the same type of beta male strat that a lot of these other decks playing Mystic Mine are. This is probably the only most purest form of Mystic Mine use that I think could actually be acceptable, and that's when it's in Drytron used to buy some time before we do some absolute obliteration. But I do have to ask, was there any times where you throw down the Mystic Mine and it was just, boom, free win city? Anything like that?
So it was only a free win in the sense that, like, when you activate Mystic Mine in this build, essentially what you're saying is your opponent's skill doesn't matter anymore, and all that matters is your skill and you playing it correctly. Because I added my mine either the most was like 3 turns in general that I would wait on it, but it's usually 1 or 2. And those 1 or 2 turns just like you would do so many shenanigans under it, and you're always like FTKing them or OTKing them with the mine. You weren't ever like decking them out. The one time and this is the absolute one time ever that I've ever decked somebody out with Mystic Mine, is playing against Danger Tier Element, and he used Fusion Sub turn 1 to get a free draw, and that was just super greedy. He used up his out to it to get a free draw, and I was like, you should probably be punished for that. And that's the only time that I ever decked somebody out with it. But yeah, if you test out the deck more and, you know, play test, mess around with it, you'll see that like Mystic Mine is a very good offensive tool in this deck.
Absolutely, absolutely. And I can kind of see that here too. Now I want to slide over the side deck here because this was honestly insane when I first saw it. And it makes a lot of sense here with the Harpy's Feather Storm and the trap tricks, of course, to search for it. What was the plan here? I mean, obviously you've got the target for the extra deck being the Assembled Nightingale. What was the game plan here?
So in terms of how game flows go, usually if you choose to go first, that's in game 3, just how it works out. And so when you go first, you try to end on Vandy's Ruler by tributing Natasha for it. And Natasha will gain you 1,000 life points, and you'll have the live Natasha engraved with a live steel. And then you'll make the Nightingale, and then you'll set the Harpy's Feather Storm face down. Now, the reason for this is because, well, one, in the draw phase, you can trigger Nightingale's effect. You don't take any battle damage for the entire turn, and your life points are up. So, you know, if your opponent decides... I always played really fast in time. You know, I always, you know, kept it moving. But if your opponent took a long time breaking your board, well, it wouldn't matter because then you'd be up in life points and you wouldn't be able to take any damage. But also, with the set Featherstorm, you didn't care if they had Dark Ruler or something for your Vandy's Ruler. And then we're playing exactly 5 copies of it because it's a 40 card deck, 5 copies of something, best mathematical ratio. And so a lot of the deck building choices were just math, essentially. And it worked out pretty well. You'd see it often enough, but you wouldn't break on it. So yeah, the end board, if you go first, Vandy's, Nightingale, Natasha Engrave, set Featherstorm.
Sounds like the dream. If it all goes through, you really don't have to care about Dark Ruler or anything like that. And you put them on Better Have It times like infinity.
Yup, absolutely.
So this makes a lot of sense, but at the end of the day, this is still a going second list, and we want to show you guys how this list goes second. Before we hop into our examples, what was the craziest board you ended up breaking with this particular list?
Craziest board. So I guess I played against an Adventure Spright deck. He had Wandering Griffin Rider along with the token and the equipped Draco back. He had Spright Elf and the Toad. He had a set starter. And yeah, FTK'd him through that. So
What'd you hit him with? Did you have like Dark Ruler?
Yeah, so I had a bunch of board breakers in this list, and so if I can talk about the math a little bit,
Go for it.
Yeah, so you're playing 3 Mine with a Terraforming, you're playing Droplets, Dark Ruler, and Ultimate Slayer. You have a over 90% chance to open with one of these cards, and you have a 65% chance to open with 2. So like, you're not really sacking them if mathematically you're more likely to open it than not. And so I felt very comfortable with the board breakers going into this. I felt very confident that I'd be able to break people's boards. And in that particular game, it was the Ultimate Slayer that just took it over the top. Because I had a Droplet to negate the two negates. And then I had Ultimate Slayer to bounce back the Spright Elf. And then the really important thing about Ultimate Slayer is it gets rid of back row. So I activate Trouble Sending's effect, and he didn't know about it, that it didn't send or it doesn't target. Yeah, so I just sent his face down starters to the graveyard, and now his field is wide open. He had 0 counterplay. And essentially, and at that point, like Drytrons is just... like you're winning.
Absolutely.
You just win at that point. So it was really nice.
Doesn't it blow your mind that Ultimate Slayer isn't once per turn?
Yeah, it's not once per turn. I did draw double Ultimate Slayer against a Branded Despia player. And that was really funny. you basically just like you also out the back row with it. That's like the most important thing.
Well, anyway, guys, we're going to get into some board-breaking examples for you, so stick around. You're going to see how we break Spright boards, how we break Tier Element boards with the almighty Drytron engine. Let's get to it. the average-ish Spright board, you know? This is looking pretty decent, pretty adequate Spright board here. We got the Toad, the Elf, and the Red, and it's going to be absolutely obliterated by some Drytron cards. Now listen, we got a packed hand here. We're acting like they got the full hand going, but it's all engine, and this is kind of improbable. Sam, what were you telling me about the odds of seeing those board breakers again?
We have a 90% chance, over 90% chance to see one, and a 65% chance to see two.
And I like those odds. But we're doing this worst case scenario right now, ladies and gentlemen. So without further ado, let's get into it.
So here, I would start with Fafnir first. Activate it, declare the effect.
And we're no chumps, so we're not going to negate that. I know I wouldn't negate this.
Yeah. And then we add the Nova to hand. So here, I'd probably start with Alpha effect, declaring it to tribute Ben 10. So the reason to do this is because it's very, very hard to choose whether or not you want to negate this, because no matter what, I'm going to get another resolution of an effect. So you could choose to hit the Alpha and destroy it, which is fine. They can't reset it. They can choose to hit the Ben 10, and that's also fine. They also can't reset it. So
I tell you,
yeah.
I'm probably negating that.
Okay, so we'll negate the Alpha's negated, and then we'll go declare Ben 10 effect. Now they can choose to use red here, but we have, you know, we would have 4 cards in hand at this point because we're starting with 5 card in hand. We have an extra card, so it's really, really risky for them to negate the Ben 10 here.
Right.
Go Ben 10, and then I would just add 2 hand, another Natasha.
So we're going straight for Natasha here. Not going for the other Ben 10. We're okay with that?
Yes. So sometimes how you choose whether or not you go for another Ben 10 is like, you kind of just have to read your opponent, and that's the thing with this deck that's really tricky and kind of difficult to show over video is sometimes you just have to see what your opponent responds to things, what they're, you know, thinking on. If they're thinking on, you know, negating the Ben 10 the first time and then there's like no, then they're probably not going to negate it again, but at the same time you kind of just want direct access sometimes. And so here having direct access to Natasha is really good because we have the Ben 10 already in grave, and because we have the field spell up, if we get the field spell, there's nothing they can do about the ritual spell.
Exactly. All right, let's keep it going.
Okay, so here I would activate Zeta, and then I would tribute send the Natasha.
And on the seat of a competent Spright player, I think we let this go because we want there to be a monster on field so we can have the Toad back. 100%. Let it resolve.
So yeah, let's get the Zeta, and then get the ritual spell to hand. And then here they would use the Elf to revive the Toad. For sure.
Oh, absolutely. You already know we're bringing that joint back as fast as possible.
So here I would just go ahead and activate the Nova. It's pretty bad for them to negate this here because if you do, you can just Medionis, tribute this, summon Natasha, and then you're cooking them. Absolutely. So like if they don't negate this, we can summon the Delta, and we can get 2 Zeus wipes, and they would have to negate both of them. So that's one route that we could go. But yeah, whether they negate this or not, like you're already fine. So here, a couple choices we can make. We can do, you can use Medionis here to summon Natasha, or we could go directly into a Zeus line. And actually, I think I'm going to switch it up a bit and just go directly into the Zeus line here.
Okay.
Now, if this is, whether you make Fafnir first or Nightingale first is really up to you, assessing the game state. But since here we don't really need the effect of Fafnir, I'm going to make the Nightingale instead.
Makes sense.
Yeah. And then just enter battle phase, attack directly twice.
Absolutely, and we'll take it. There's unfortunately nothing that can be done about it.
And then, so with the starter, then taking 1100, and then taking another 800, so they'll be at 61 now. And then overlay attack. The Zeus here. Now you can double Zeus wipe.
Right, And this gets both things out of the way.
So then they can actually get this to their field, but that's totally fine with you too. And that's kind of the thing with like going second, especially with only engine hands like this. It's like you want to make your opponent have to make decisions that are bad for them either way.
Well, let's say we took it, because that's probably what I'd do, but I know where this is going to go wrong.
Yeah, so this would be set onto their field. Okay, so basically here, we haven't used the delta effect. Totally forgot about that. So I would declare this here to should be the gamma, and then I would special summon this in defense mode, and then get an extra draw.
Yeah, this could be
it could be anything. This doesn't really matter what it is. But here, I would activate the Minions Drytron to grave. Yeah, actually, this is something I do really often. A lot of times, you want to reuse the Ben 10 if you can before you steal with Natasha, if it's in a situation like this.
Right.
So here, I would tribute Natasha again.
Gamma.
Summon Gamma. And summon back the Zeta, because that's the least useful name now in the graveyard. So. And then Ben 10's effect would activate, and then you would just get Vanity's Ruler here.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, that sucks.
All right, my friends, we are here with a little bit of a tier element board, and our friend Sam is going to show us how to crack through it pretty easily. This is going to be with Engine, with a little bit of help from our friend Forbidden Droplets. Same can apply with Dark Ruler No More. The logic is you're holding that. You're holding it. But Sam, what are you going to do? Let's see how you break this board.
Okay, so essentially against tier elements, their Hofness, their Celiac, and their Dragstapelia are just all interruptions that simply don't do anything to Drytrons, and you can really abuse that in this deck. So I'll just get right into it. Basically, your Droplet in this case, a lot of times when you have Droplet Dark Ruler No More, you really don't need to shotgun it against tier elements. A lot of the time, you can judge whether or not you want to hold it. In this situation, it's definitely something you want to hold, because droplets will not be meant for playing through their monsters, because we don't care about the fusion monsters whatsoever. Droplets will simply just be used for playing around the trap. So yeah, here we just go Alpha Effect, tributing Zeta, and we get the Ben 10 to hand. Still haven't used any effects on field, and then we'll use.
And that's not going to let the Havness trigger. Yep, Zeta's good. Yep. So we grab the Ritual Spell off of the Zeta, the Natasha off the Ben 10, and now what we doing?
Yeah, so they can, we can try to bait the Celiac here immediately if we wanted to, but it's not like it really matters. I'd activate the Minions Drytron to tribute this, and then summon Natasha here. So here, let's just say they use like the trap card on anything, like, you know, maybe trying to negate Natasha at whatever point. Just to give you guys an example, this will be, they'll trigger the trap. So here is when you change droplets, and then whatever they target, you just send to grave. And because the trap card effect is do A, which is negate the effect or flip it face down, then send a tier element from either your field or deck to the graveyard. If they can do the A part of the effect, they can't resolve the B part of the effect. So you're just using Forbidden Droplets to play around the trap card, which is the only threat. Like, I want to iterate in the pure, like, if it's a pure tier element board, the only threat is the trap card. So we're using Forbidden Droplets to play around the trap.
Makes sense. You can pretty much do that anytime they go for the book.
Yep. So we're just say it's here, and then yeah, took it. So now we can use Natasha's effect.
Oh yeah.
Banish, and then steal the Kaleido Heart.
That is all yours, my dude.
So we're not activating effects on field. We're just using Natasha's effect to gain to steal stuff, and we'll never use this gain life points because we want to play around the Hofness. So here, a play that you could go for is you could honestly just summon a Nightmare. So I'll just go for Phoenix here. And then use Gamma effect
Oh, yeah.
To grave. And then we special summon this. And we special summon any Drytron. Now, here, after we steal a Kaleido Heart, and summon back the Gamma, we can make the Nightmare Unicorn. Now, this part is really nice because since we've already played around Hopness this entire turn, we can stop playing around it now because now we can make Axis Code Talker, and Hopness is a 1 effect. So this, when your opponent activates a monster effective field. So if we declare now to gain attack points, they can't respond with Hopness. So now we can declare again, and they also can't respond to this. Banish anything, and then popping the Dragon's Spelia. And this is 53, 3k. That's game.
100% dead. Look at this, guys. Absolute savagery. Played around Havness the whole time. Trap card didn't matter. That's how you play with your going second cards like an absolute pro. Not to mention the fact that we're using the engine to the best of its abilities, my friends. We are taking advantage of Drytron and doing the thing. So, Sam, thank you so much for showing us how to play Drytron going second like a pro. Something that I'm absolutely not capable of. Had to bring in the pros on this one. Thank you, man, for joining us. Is there any shout-outs you want to give?
Just want to shout out my team, Team DQ, always the best. Shout out to Joe Dietrich, one of my really good friends and a player who coached me. And shout out to all the Drytron players out there. Drytron best deck, man.
Absolutely. Hashtag Ben10-3, guys. Let's make it happen. Next ban list. That's all I got today, my friends. Sam, you on board with that as well? Ben10-3?
Yes, sir. Ben10-3.
God, yes.
Ben10-3.
Oh, God, yes. All right, my friends. That's all I got today. LoganJYA signing off. Have a great day. I will see you chumps later. Peace.
心の隙間埋め